Hey now, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, this is Munchkin Adventure Time, and I drank an entire bottle of scotch before I decided to do this review. No, I'm just kidding, but listen, chances are, if you're watching this video, you know what Munchkin is, and you don't need any kind of backstory or history as to what the game is, why it exists, and how it exists, and why it is such a divisive game. Many gamers, myself included, people who are quote-unquote hardcore gamers, I don't necessarily say that as a positive thing at all times, but we just don't like Munchkin. We appreciate it for what it is, for what it's done for the hobby, but we have moved on. Now, for me personally, I had my own copy of the original base game version of Munchkin, and there are dozens and dozens of Munchkin expansions at this point, but I had the original game back when I was still playing D&D. I wasn't into modern designer board games, but I always saw people playing Munchkin at the comic book stores and RPG and miniature stores that I would frequent. And it kind of had a reputation about amongst the people that I knew who were into RPGs as well. Not always a good reputation. And I said, oh, I'll pick up a copy. This must be something cool. It looks like it's got fun art and it's got a good theme to it. And I played it a few times and said, who wants it? Who wants it? Who's going to take this from me? I don't want this game anymore. I actually ended up holding on to it for quite a while before finally getting rid of it, right around the same time I started getting all of these. And that's the thing about Munchkin, is that it's an entry-level game, it's a very light game, it's a very popular game, a light card game about going down through a dungeon trying to level up. And it's obviously been very popular. It's really built the company Steve Jackson Games, and there's a lot of people who are into these types of games who love it. I just never have, but it has been like 5 years since I played it, so I saw Munchkin Adventure Time. I wanted to give it another shot. It is Adventure Time after all, and I'm hoping that maybe they change some things around. Did they? Well, let's take an overview of the game. I'm sure most people know how Munchkin plays, but we'll take a look at it anyways. Then we're going to come back. I'll let you know what I think. Alright, we're going to take a brief look at Munchkin. Specifically, this is Munchkin Adventure Time, which really has as far as I know, almost the exact same rules as the original base set of Munchkin, and so many of the other sets of Munchkin, but this one is themed as Adventure Time. So at the beginning of the game, I guess I should mention this is for 2 to 6 players, and the goal is to get to level 10. You each play as an adventurer, in this case the Adventure Time characters, and your goal is to get to level 10 by killing monsters. You can also gain levels through playing special cards or by selling equipment, but in order to win the game, the last monster you kill to get to level 10 has to be a monster that you kill. So at the beginning of the game, each player is going to get one of these characters. You can either choose whichever one you want, or you can choose to randomly disperse them however you choose. So you have Finn, and the cool thing about this is that, like in any other set of Munchkin, certain spells that come out during the game might actually change your gender. Well, that happens to work very well for Adventure Time because there was a whole episode about characters changing gender. So that's on both sides of the card. And no matter what side it is, they all have a special ability that's the same. Finn gets +2 against monsters that are level 10 or above, and on the other side you have Fiona. You have Jake. I'm going to show all these, by the way, because this is absolutely the best part of the game. Jake can discard 1 card for each combat for a +2 bonus to either side, and then you have Cake on the other side. You have Princess Bubblegum, who can one-shot items you use that give a bonus to combat strength are worth an extra +1 bonus, and on the other side you have Prince Gumball, otherwise known as Neil Patrick Harris. You have Marceline, who gets a +2 bonus against any monster with the color red in it. Use your best judgment. And an extra +2 bonus for musical instruments you have equipped. And you have Marshall Lee on the other side. Lady Rainicorn. Actually, I won't read all the special abilities, but there's Lady Rainicorn and Lord Monochromacorn. Flame Princess and the Flame Prince, who looks like Goku going Super Saiyan, really. Lumpy Space Princess and Lumpy Space Prince. And finally, BMO, who is gender neutral. There's actually an entire PBS Idea channel episode about that. So they are the same on either side. So there you go. You're going to have one of these cards. You'll put that face up in front of you. That's your character card. Your ability is always active when it applies. You're going to take 4 cards from the treasure deck, 4 cards from the dungeon deck, and then the game is going to begin. Now, in the in these decks, the treasure cards are, like they suggest, are all kind of either one-shot items or equipment items that when you draw them, you'll play them right. You'll put them in front of you right away, and whether you play them or not is totally up to you. So you're going to have cards like, here's a one-shot, Magic Nails, play during any combat, +5 bonus to either side. In this game, there's no such thing as attack or defense, there's just bonuses. You either get bonuses or penalties. Then you have, here's another, this one's actually just a constant bonus you have in front of you, plus it's the Ancient Psychic Tandem War Elephant, always a +2 bonus, but +4 if you're helping or being helped, because you have the option of helping other players if they ask for it out of turn when they're in the middle of a combat. Now on the bottom of almost all these cards is a price. If you sell 1,000 gold pieces worth of equipment on your turn, you actually level up. If you can actually sell more than that, but you're not going to get change. But if you sell like 2,000 or 3,000, you'll gain 2 or 3 levels at a time. But again, you can't win the game unless the last level is gained by killing a monster. Let's see. I want to try to find some equipment that's pretty cool. Here we go. You have the Golden Sword of Battle. This will tell you what slot it takes up. So this is a one-handed weapon, so you can hold 2 one-handed items, and that gives you a +1 bonus. Here's an example of a two-handed one, the Axe Base, which actually gives you a +4 bonus for Musician. So if you have the Musician class, which is another type of card that's in the Dungeon deck, actually. Here's an example of Armor, the Concert T-shirt, which gives you a +1 bonus. And you cannot lose this to bad stuff or curses. So some items actually have special abilities, and also this one has no value. So those are some of the different items you might be able to find in the treasure deck. But you start off with some treasure, but it can be kind of hard to get it during the course of the game. You really have to kill monsters to do that. So let's take a look at some of the dungeon deck cards. Now, how the turn structure is going to work is at the start of your turn, you kick down the door. That's the first step. That's where you're actually going to flip over the top card of the dungeon deck and resolve whatever it tells you to do. Now, more often than not, it's going to be a monster. So here you have Windy, Boo Boo, and Georgie. And it'll tell you what type it is. And if it's undead, the more undead and demons can spring out because they kind of self-multiply. But it'll tell you what their special ability is. This one is +3 against heroes, which is one of the classes in the game. And then there's bad stuff, which means if you fail to defeat the monster, you are afflicted by that bad stuff. But if you win, then you actually get to gain a level, and you get the treasure indicated in the bottom, which is 2. So you get 2 treasure cards off the top of the deck. And how combat works is very simply, you'll flip over the monster, see what its total combat value is. So it's a level 6, so that's +6, and if you're a hero, it's going to get +3 against you. But then you're just going to add up all of your bonuses, any special abilities you have, all the items that you have, any one-shot items that you want to have, and hopefully you want to beat that number. You can't just tie it. And if you do, kill the monster, gain the level, get the treasure. But if you fail, you get the bad stuff. And other players can be playing nasty cards against you during this to try and make you lose. Or if you're going to lose anyways, you might ask for help from any of the players. And only one player can help you, but you can ask multiple people. And if they help you, they add their bonuses to yours, but you're going to have to pay them off in some way. You might say, well, okay, I'll give you one of my treasures that I already have in front of you, so I'll give you my backpack, or I'll give you my wizard cloak. Or you can say, well, I don't really have anything I want to give up or that I could give up, but I'll give you one of the treasures I win for defeating this monster, and I'll let you have first pick. Those are the kind of deals you can make. Also on your turn, you can freely trade items back and forth as well, or even just bribe people to get them to do something like, I'll give you my wizard cloak if you don't interfere with my next battle, that kind of thing. And they're just sort of on the honor system, but they'll probably screw you over. There's also curse cards. Now, if you draw anything other than a monster, for your kick down the door action, you can just sort of take it into hand. But if it's a curse, then you're afflicted by the curse as well. So this one says, lose an item, unacceptable, discard one item of your choice. All other players have to discard an item of equal value at least. Here's one of the change gender, the fan fiction card. That's kind of funny. Let's see, other things you might find in this deck. There's monster enhancers, like -5 to a monster played during combat, but it gives you 1 less treasure. So if you draw this one from the deck for your kick down the door, you'll just take it into hand and keep it, and so on. There's also ally cards that you'll find in the dungeon deck, like tree trunks here. You can only have 1 ally at a time unless you have a special card that says otherwise. You get to a +1 bonus, and you can double the effect of any fruit or baked goods items that you use. Now also, once you get done by the way, if you fight a monster that you can't defeat and no one wants to help you, or if they help you and you still fail, and both of you and your ally take the penalty, you could also, if you think you're going to fail but no one's going to help you, you can choose to run away. To run away, you just roll the die and hope that you get a 5 or 6. And you might have special effects that will influence that as well, card powers, things like that. After you get done either defeating the monster or failing horribly, you have two options. You can either look for trouble, which is if you have a monster card in your hand from previous turns or from the start of the game, you can play that monster down and fight that monster too, which you might want to do if it's a monster you can take on just to gain another level. And your levels are added into your bonus as well, so the more levels that you gain, the stronger that you get. Or you can decide to loot the room, which means you just take the top card of the dungeon deck and nothing happens. You don't flip it over. You just put it into your hands. Whether it's a monster or a curse or whatever, you can now play those curses on other players or keep the monsters for future turns. The last part of your turn is charity. This is where if you have more than 5 cards in hand, which are going to be the dungeon card decks cards, you must give the excess cards to other players or play them right away if it's possible. And boy, I just described the game. That's really it. There's not a lot to it. You're just going through the dungeon, drawing cards, dealing with whatever comes out, hoping to get treasure, hoping to be the first person to get to level 10. If you're the first person to get to level 10 by killing a monster, you're going to win the game. And there's some variants that speed it up. You might let your helpers win with you, but otherwise, that's the normal game of Munchkin. You can mix it together with all the different types of Munchkin sets, and I think still the rules will always be the same. The last thing I actually will show you, here's the box for the game. But aside from how cool that looks, the inside of the box looks even cooler. I really like that. And, oh yeah, the die, I don't know if I actually showed this, has Jake. So, yeah, I would say that the aesthetics of this game are the best thing about it. I'm giving a spoiler here, but let's go to my final thoughts. Just to elaborate on my beginning thoughts, really what it comes down to is that I bash Munchkin a lot on Board Game Geek, and I've managed to snipe at it in many of my videos whenever we're talking about the take-that elements of games. When I talk about a game and I hate its take-that elements, I'm thinking of Munchkin as like the ultimate example of that. So I've constantly bashed it, but I haven't played it in a long time, and I wondered if maybe my thoughts would have changed, maybe gained a greater respect for it after playing extremely heavy games and then coming back to this one and revisiting it. And I just wanted to know if I was actually being fair to it at all. And also, I kind of think that if you're a board game reviewer or card game reviewer, at some point, you should examine Munchkin because it is so huge and omnipresent and such a part of the gaming community just woven into it. It's something you just can't avoid. You're always going to run into people in your group who you have the most tremendous respect for, who also play Munchkin. And it doesn't make them less of a gamer at all. It just means that they like something you don't like. But for some reason, Munchkin seems to be the lightning rod as opposed to so many other games. Like, if someone tells me that they like Eclipse, I'm like, oh man, I hate Eclipse. But I don't think anything less of them for it. But if they tell me that they really, really like Munchkin, it's not that I think less of them, and I'm like, explain it to me. Because I can understand if someone likes Eclipse, but I can't understand if someone likes Munchkin. And I thought to myself before I wanted to do this review that maybe that's wrong of me to even have that kind of visceral reaction. So I wanted to give it another try, and Adventure Time is awesome. So let's at least give that a shot. So what do I think of it after having played it a couple more times? I love Adventure Time. That's not going to change. And I think that artistically it looks awesome. They didn't... I think most of it is kind of reused from the show, but it looks like they have some, or at least art that they made look original, and the graphic design looks really good, so that's cool. And having the character cards that, one of the aspects of Munchkin, the original Munchkin, was just the fact that you could change genders. You start as a gender that you are, but then you're going to change into something else eventually if someone hits you with a spell. But it works so well for Adventure Time now because they had the gender swap episode that it seems like it was made for it. And the whole theme of Adventure Time seems that it's made for Munchkin. So I would say that if you are interested in Munchkin, if you've tried it and want to get your own copy and you love Adventure Time, this is absolutely the one to get. It just works. That theme works so well with the game as it is. Let's talk about the mechanics of the game. Having played it again, as my mind changed about how it plays and how fun it is. No. it's still pretty awful. Here's the problem with Munchkin. I'll just take it from like beginning of turn to end. You flip a card and hope that it's something that you can deal with, and chances are it's either there's no either or. You're either going to be able to deal with it, or you're not, and you're going to be incredibly punished for it. and there's no control over that. I mean, you can run and you have different items that you have, but if you weren't lucky enough to have those items, that's not even an option for you. In every game of Munchkin I've played, whether it's 5 years ago or now that I've played this new edition a few times, it always comes down to the same thing. One player, maybe two, gets a ton of awesome items. The other players don't, and they're totally screwed when they flip over cards. And they're screwed again when they have to ask for help. And the other player's like, absolutely, I'll help you. I want all the treasure. Because why not? Oh, well, I'll just let you die. So would you rather take the incredibly bad penalty, the bad stuff penalty, or would you rather just give them the treasure and not take the bad stuff because you were not going to get the treasure anyways? And then that player gets even more powerful while you sit there and wallow. The biggest issue that I have, though, I would say that this trumps the whole thing about one player just wallowing in misery while the others are doing great, is the time. This type of game that is so light, that is so straightforward in some ways, it should take 15 minutes max. And I think that if it was 15 minutes, I probably wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. Probably still wouldn't like it, but I definitely wouldn't bash it at all. This game, as one of my friends pointed out, is a half hour of fun crammed into 2 hours at times. And I don't want to hear this talk about, who are you playing with? This game only takes a half hour for us. I have never played a game of this with many groups of people that has not lasted at least an hour. That is far too long for such a dumb game. It just is. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, there's other things too. I mean, some of the items are clearly better than others, and if you get those, then you're solid gold. If you don't, then you're screwed. And everyone is encouraged to dick each other over, and the players who try to quote unquote play the game right, inevitably you're going to get dicked over, and you're just going to sit there and get mad. And of course, when one player is in the lead, everyone smashes him into the ground as much as possible, prolonging the game even more. So, for all these reasons, despite the fact that there is fun to be had here, and I would say that's my number one takeaway from this, is that having so much distance between my previous plays and this one, I did forget that there was fun to be had here, especially with the theme. The theme is very, very cool and funny. There's fun to be had here, but despite that, there's fun to be had in a ton of games. If you don't like a single game that's on my shelf anywhere, I promise you there are still 500 other games that I don't have in my collection that I may not even like that are still better than Munchkin. I guess that's my number one thing. And I don't want to sound so elitist about it. I hate sounding so elitist about it because I hate it when I like a dumb game that other people don't like and people are snooty about it. So, heavy Euro gamers look down on me for it. So I know that feeling. And I do appreciate the fact that if Munchkin never existed, there's a very good chance that more than half of my collection wouldn't exist because of its contribution to just the rising, I'm going to screw up this phrase. Is it a rising tide floats all boats, that kind of thing? So one game doing fantastically well brings more people into the hobby and more money into the hobby, more companies making games trying to emulate Munchkin and maybe move on to better things, and gamers that start with Munchkin hopefully move on to better things. But it's hard for me to not walk into a game store, see people playing Munchkin, or even actually have new people come into my group. I have my group on Meetup, so I get a lot of new people. Have someone come in and say, I don't really know how to play all these games. You just have Munchkin? Let's just play Munchkin. Or they come with a whole stack of Munchkin stuff with them. That's happened a couple of times with different people. And I just want to say, no. I mean, I'd rather not play that, but let me introduce you to this really cool game. And they're like, I've never heard of that. And I wish that people had. But I guess that's naive of me. Every game is not going to get recognized, and yet they're doing something right over at Steve Jackson Games that this game gets major props. So I guess what I'm saying here is, if you just want my review part of this, Munchkin is still an awful game. If you're going to get a version of Munchkin despite what I would suggest that you do, then the Adventure Time one is awesome because it's Adventure Time and it looks great, and it's got cool theme to it, just like other versions of Munchkin do, actually. But it's still a bad game. And I don't hold it against you if you like Munchkin. If you like Munchkin, please keep watching my channel. And because chances are we agree on like 50 other games, which is totally cool. And if you're watching this, you're cool even if you like Munchkin. That's fine. I don't hold it against anybody. But I do say that if Munchkin is your number one go-to like filler, it's not really filler, light card game of choice, try some other ones. Just try some other ones if you haven't already. And if you still go back to Munchkin, awesome, more power to you.
But if you move on from it, hopefully you'll remember my words of wisdom. That's my 2 cents anyways. My name is Nick. This has been Board Game Brawl, and I'm reminding you to get out there and game every day and in every way, even with Munchkin. Take care.